you can go from Genesis to Genesis to Revelations, and you can go almost chapter by chapter by chapter, and you can find miracles throughout the entire Bible. We could spend the rest of our lifetimes talking about all the different miracles that are in the Bible. If I was to ask any of you this morning, how many people remember a miracle that happened in your life? Many of us, don't we? We can all think back to a time, a miracle that happened within our lives. And I think back, and some people, if you ask most of the world, they would mention and talk about how that a miracle of their child was born, how it was a miracle that their child was born. So others might refer to, there's many references to it on TV, talking about the U.S. hockey team back in 1980, and how there was the miracle on ice, and how that they had beat the Russians in hockey during the Olympics and took gold medal. They wasn't supposed to win, and they won the gold medal in the U.S. Olympics. But then I always think of another one. I always refer back to one. It's a guy named Zivy Greengold. Anybody know who he is? I've talked about him a few times. But his name is Zivka Greengold. I call him the Zivy by short. And he was a tank commander in Israel. During Yom Kippur in 1973, he was sitting there. He had just got home from his base, and he was getting ready to go on vacation, according to one of the reports. And as he was getting ready to go home, planes were flying over top. There wasn't supposed to be any type of military activity on that day, so he knew something was up. So he got up and he went back to his tank command where he was, and when he got there, tanks were rolling in. They had been destroyed. Israel was under attack through the Golan Heights. Syria had launched 500 to 1,500 tanks through the Golan Heights, and they were attacking Israel. So he had got together, and they put together 2 tanks. And they got a team together, and they said, let's go. So they got up there to the field and said, the Zivy Brigade is here. 2 tanks. So he starts fighting, and the tank that he was in, he gets hit. They lose control, radio communication. So he jumps out of that tank, goes over to the other tank, tells the first one to go back. He gets into the second tank, and here he is. It's Zivy, a 21-year-old, and a Syrian tank army in front of him. For over 20 hours, he fought and defended the Golan Heights. In so much, they said that he killed or destroyed anywhere between 40 to 60 tanks in that night. He said he thought he only killed 20. But they said after they went through the night, it was over between 40 to 60 tanks. What he did on that night, every tank commander in the world talk about. Because what he would do is in the middle of the night, the Syrian army knew that they had only a short time to attack Israel before their recruits would get there, the reinforcements would show up. So what he did was he would pop up and he would shoot and destroy a tank. He would pop down and he would say, Zivy Brigade kills 1. He'd go over somewhere else, pop back up, shoot another tank. Come back down, Zivy Brigade kills another. Run over here somewhere, popped up, shot another one. By the end of the night, the Syrian army had thought that they had lost and ran out of time, and that the reinforcements had showed up, and they were actually fighting an entire tank brigade. All it was Zivy and his 1 tank. They had no idea it was more than just one, or just 1 tank. They literally backed off, retreated, because they thought there was more tanks on that hill that they were trying to take. And they had anywhere between 5 to 1,500 tanks that they were trying to come over that hill. Modern day miracle. I always think of that when I think about miracles. Because of God, he talks about the guy still, I think he retired. God had his hand on him, a 21-year-old. On that day, Yom Kippur, he's over there, and he's attacking and defending Israel. 1 man, 1 tank. So how many people are in need of a miracle? Now, granted, Zivy was just a tank commander, 21-year-old kid. But he went out there and with God was able to destroy him. Like I said, every one of us has a story that we can refer back to, and I like to refer to him as one of the modern-day heroes. But we all need a miracle in our lives. And as I was sitting there thinking about it this morning, and I was thinking about it this past couple of days, I was thinking, it's going to take a miracle sometimes when we get to the place. I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Most people think of we need a miracle is when their child is sick and they're in the hospital. And the doctor says, we've done everything we could do. It's just a matter of time. Then they start thinking of God. It's going to take a miracle. We need to pray. We need to seek God. We need to search Him. But if you haven't been praying already beforehand, how are you going to reach out to God when the time of need? Now, granted, He'll hear your cry. He can answer you. But don't you think it'd be a little better to be prepared? We always talk about being prepared for the storms of our lives. Make sure you have your go bag ready to go. And how many people at the last minute are running around the house looking for flashlights, looking for this, looking for batteries, looking for all this stuff when they should have been ready in the first place? There's coming a day when God's going to call His people home, and you're not going to need a miracle if you're not ready, because you're not going. You can search high and low for every pastor, preach. You can hit the altar at that point, but you've come one day too late. All the miracles won't show up on that day. It's better to get used to them now and learn and know how to feel. Do you remember the miracle? So if we have a thought, it's going to take a miracle. I want to go back to Exodus. I was going to go to the first place it's mentioned, and it's found in Exodus chapter 7. I'm not going to go there yet. I want to go back to Exodus chapter 3 first. Now, I could read through Exodus chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we can tell you the whole story of this, but most of you know this, and I just want to lay a little bit of groundwork here first. But in Exodus chapter 3, verse 1, we're going to read through the 11th verse. It says, "Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people, which are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and bring them up out of the land, or that land, unto a good land, and a large, and unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto a place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. I thought about this past week, and I was thinking about how that these people had been slaves for 400 years. Generation after generation after generation, they were born a slave, they died a slave. All they knew was slavery. All they knew when they woke up in the morning was to go out there and build a tomb for that Pharaoh. That's all they knew for roughly 400 years. They had been crying for God to deliver them. They had been seeking for deliverance for all these years, and it was going to take a miracle. But God brought His miracle, came down in an 80-year-old man standing on the backside of a mountain. All he was doing was tending after his sheep with a staff. Most of you be thinking, well, we need an army to go into Egypt. Moses did too. It's going to take a miracle. Children of Israel had no idea that God was calling Moses on the backside of the mountain. I thought about how many people, generation after generation, I thought about so many people, families have been destroyed through drugs, through alcohol, through different things. And it takes someone in the family to say, that's it, our family's been destroyed because of this. I am going to be the reason why it stops. I'm going to break this cycle of our family being, our generation after generation being destroyed. I've got to be the one to stop this. So many people, they get caught up in, well, it's just a generational curse, the family curse. No, someone has to stand up and say, no, not anymore. I am going to be the exception. I want my family not to be my kids, not to be part of this. I want to change the outcome of my family heritage. Going to need a miracle. Moses is sitting on the backside, and he's not thinking nothing of this. He's like, you want to call me? Who am I? Verse 10, he says, now come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. I love how the Lord is speaking to Moses here. Come now. Let's go. Oh, let's jump in the car, if you will. We're going to run on down to Egypt. We'll take care of this. And Moses is like doing exactly what all of us is going to do and say, look what he says. And Moses said unto God, who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? How many people, if God says you're going to go down to Egypt and you're going to deliver my people, would say, okay, Lord, let's go? No, you're going to be questioning, Lord, you got the wrong guy. I know somebody. I will let you know his number. I'll give you a call. We got you taken care of. There's someone a little taller than me, Brother Mark over here, Brother Matt back there. They can go in and do it. They're younger. They're stronger. They can do that. But God says, I want you, Moses. Who am I? Many of us will sit back and say, why did God call me into the ministry? I don't know. I have no idea why God would call me into the ministry. I don't know that reason. Only God knows. There's much better people that can speak better than I can. They definitely can spell better than I can, right, Sister Katie? But you know what? God had a purpose. He knows. I don't know, but He does. He just says, come on now. I'll lead the way. Moses is like, who am I? It's going to take a miracle to go down there. I can't do this. But jump over to chapter 4. Now, like I said, I could read through all of this. But you can read chapter 3, 4, 5, all of them. But I'm just going to jump around through it a little bit. The 29th verse, chapter 4, through the 31st verse. And Moses and Aaron went gathered all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spake all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed, and when they heard that the Lord visited the children of Israel, that He had looked upon their afflictions, then they bowed their heads and worshiped. Think about this for a moment. These leaders, these slaves, they didn't know nothing. Here comes an 80-year-old man and his brother walking in, and he says, we're here to deliver you. Can you imagine what they must have been thinking? You're here to deliver us. You barely even walked here without a staff. How are you going to deliver us? Well, we have the Lord on our side. And He was the one who was going to deliver them. And they had to show them the signs. And when they seen the signs, they recognized and realized God has been hearing our prayer. He has been answering. He has seen our affliction. He knows what we're going through. And He's here to answer. We don't know how. I don't know when. I don't know how it's going to happen. But He's here to deliver. He's going to bring forth a miracle. It's going to take a miracle. And God came down into them, and He talked to the leaders, and they realized, can you imagine what they must have felt like? I thought about Abraham the last time when I preached about how Abraham, he's up on the mountain, and he's about ready to sacrifice his child, and he's got his child sacked there. He pulls a knife out, and the Lord calls unto him, Abraham, and he says, here I am, and now I know. And he hears the ram caught in the thicket over there. He didn't see it before. It wasn't there before, it seemed like. But can you imagine what he must have felt like? As I said back then, all of the joy that must have been him, the relief that it came to him. There was a miracle that had happened right there on that mountaintop. We talk about a worship service. That would have been a worship service like nobody else would have known. You didn't have to worry about that. Well, we got a time limit. We got to get back into. No, you didn't care about anything. I'm sure, like I said before, I'm sure he cut those ropes off his son and gave his son the biggest hug and said, let's go and sacrifice and worship the Lord because He's performed a miracle here this day. The children of Israel, here they are in Egypt in land of bondage. Here they are. They got some 80-year-old showing up, and He's there, and He's going to deliver them. When they realized that the Lord had seen their affliction, He realized that they heard His cry. They bowed their heads, and they worshiped unto God. I don't know how that meeting would have gone, but no doubt, if you've been in bondage for years and years and years, Can you imagine the relief you must have felt? Exodus chapter 5, verse 1. Read through the 4th verse. Verse 5, verse 1, it says, And afterward Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Let my people go, and they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go. Who is this Lord that you speak of? I don't know who he is. He's not one of our gods. No, he's one of those little g gods. He was the big G God. They just didn't know who he was. They've been serving a bunch of little g gods, I call them. But they sat there, and he's sitting there, and he's talking to them. I don't know who he is. I'm not going to let your people go. You're not going anywhere. Verse 3. And they said, The God of the Hebrews hath met with us. Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. And the king of Egypt said unto them, Wherefore do ye, Moses and Aaron, let the people from their works? Get you unto your burdens. Get back to your burdens. Why are you here? You want to take away for 3 days? We've got a lot of work to be done out there. We don't have time for you to go out there and sacrifice. Get back to your burdens. Get back to those. Get back to yours. He's thinking he's talking to 2 slaves. He doesn't know who Moses and Aaron are. Get back to your work. And the king of Egypt said unto them, Wherefore do ye, Moses and Aaron, let the people from their works get you unto your burdens? And Pharaoh said, Behold, the people of the land now are many. Ye make them rest from their burdens. Let's read a little bit further. And Pharaoh commanded the same day that the taskmakers of the people of their officers, saying, Ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. And the tale of the bricks which they did make hitherto, he shall lay upon them. Ye shall not diminish aught thereof, and they be idle. Therefore they cry, saying, Let us go and sacrifice our God. So what do you do? Turned around and he says, Oh no, we're going to help them out a little bit. No, he doubles down on it. He gives them more work, makes it harder on them. What do you think Satan's doing now to us today in this world? You sit back and you think it's when you decide that you're going to go towards God and you're going to leave the world, if you sense, what do you think Satan's going to do? He's going to make the job harder. He's not keep us busy. He's not going to let us go. He's going to keep building it up. Exodus chapter 7. Exodus chapter 7 and verse 8. I know I'm reading through a lot of these. Like I said, you can go through a lot of them or study them yourself. Verse 8 says, And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, Take thy rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. The first time it's mentioned, God's talking to him and he says, When Pharaoh says to you, Show a miracle, then he tells them what to do. I thought about in Revelation chapter 13, you don't have to turn, you can reference it, but in Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 through 18, it talks about a time that's coming in the future. In verse 14, it talks about a beast that's going to come up. And I'll start with the 13th verse. And it says, And he doeth great wonders, in that he maketh fire come down from heaven out on the earth in the sight of men, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, and they that shall make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. Satan's got a counterfeit. Whatever God's going to do, Satan's going to try to mimic it. So we find out here, so when Aaron throws down the rod, look what happens in verse 10. And Moses and Aaron went unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord commanded, and Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt, they also did like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down to every man his rod, and they became serpents, but Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. See, they came in, and here they are. God had given them some miracles to be done, some signs to show them. So they cast down the rods. Well, the magicians, they showed up, and they had snakes also. But Aaron's rod swallowed them up. It goes on further, and it talks about, in verse 13, and he hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. I want to go down a little bit further on this. Jump over to the 20th verse. And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord commanded, and he lifted up the rod, and smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of the servants, and all the waters were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that were in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink the water of the river, and there were blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with the enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened, neither did he hearken unto them, as the Lord had said. See, Satan has a copycat. We always talk about, where's Waldo? I always refer to it. Because the real Church of Jesus Christ, please stand up. I've said this hundreds of times. You go to any pastor that's being preaching or teaching right now, and any minister in Northwest Indiana, there's hundreds of them. Go in there and ask them if they're teaching a lie. Are you preaching and teaching the truth? Every one of them is going to tell you that they're teaching and preaching the truth. Just like the Bible says. They don't tell you what Bible they're reading out of. But just like it says. But somebody's got to be wrong. One believes in 3 gods. Some believe in 2. Some believe in 1. Some believe in a dove. Some believe in this and believe in that. How many? Someone's got to be wrong. So how do we figure this out? I had a guy at work. He's been talking to me. He's been reading the Bible. And he was asking me about things. And I mentioned to him and I said, I tell you, the first thing you need to do is you need to study salvation. I said, don't take people's words for it. Don't go and just listen to someone man telling you. Get in there and see what the Bible actually says. We tell everyone here, like I told him, we don't tell you just believe me because I say so. I say to believe me because you can find it in here. Search it for yourself. Seek it out yourself. Prove it for yourself. I've been in the church my entire life, around the church all my life. Acts 2:38, I've known it my entire life. I've sung the songs from little tiny kid all the way growing up. But I had to be saved the same way as someone who came in, like Brother Clarence. He didn't have the same background as that I had. I talk about Brother Jay all the times when we go to when we were at the prisons. Me and him have very different backgrounds. But with God, we had to come in the same way. We both had to be saved the same way. Even though I've been around, I knew the books of the Bible. I know where roughly to find them all. I've known the Scriptures my entire life. I've had a Bible my entire life. But you sit back, and I had to get saved the same way. There's a world out there. There came a time, I talked about this so many times, you guys all know this. I had a Jehovah's Witness come to my door. And I started talking to him, and we were talking back and forth, and he showed me the book, and I started reading through it. It started making sense. All the scriptures that I held true, and I said, these are my scriptures. I know that they had an answer for it. It started confusing me, and I'm like, wait a minute. Something's not right here. Something doesn't sound right. I had to put that book aside, and I had to get inside this and search this for myself and dig it out for myself. I've always been relying on what Mom and Dad had said. I've been relying on others. I had to get in here and search this for myself, and when I did that and searched it for myself, then I was able to go back to that book, and I was able to find all the flaws that were in it. And some of it is out there in the track out there. Is Jesus Christ and Jehovah the same person? That book that track is based on what I went through. I didn't think it was going to be a track until Sister Patsy ended up writing it, but whatever, or putting it together for me, I think. But my point of it is that I had to prove this for myself. I couldn't rely on anybody else no more. I had to go in this and search the scriptures for myself and teach it. So many people, they're going on what Mama said and Papa said and great-grandpa said and great-great-grandma said. But what does the Bible say? Well, if you want me to follow that way, it's going to take a miracle. It's going to take a miracle. But God can open up your eyes if you're truly seeking. He'll open up your eyes. So we talk about the revelation of Jesus Christ. Trust me, that is not to be taken lightly. The revelation of who He is, the world does not know it. You'll hear Bible prophecy preachers teaching all the time, talking about God's this, God's that, and they don't even know who Jesus Christ is. They don't even know His name. But they're trying to tell you what the world's going to end. This country's going to do this, and that beast is going to do this, and that's what this... and they don't even know His name. You're going to get out of this world. It's going to take a miracle. It's going to take God. He's going to take God to get us out of this world. Let's jump down to, let's see here, 13 and 14. I read those already, right? Let's go back to verse 10. And Moses said, and Aaron went into Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord commanded Aaron, and cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and sorcerers, now magicians of Egypt, and they also did like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents, and Aaron's rod swallowed up theirs. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. If you go through the entire rest of the Old Testament, you will find this passage of Scripture in Deuteronomy chapter 11, in Numbers chapter 14, verse 22, Deuteronomy chapter 29, Judges chapter 3, verse 13. All refer to, we call them the 10 plagues of Egypt, but the rest of the Old Testament refers to them as miracles. The miracles that I did and the signs that I did in Egypt. One of those places, Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 3, it says this, and his miracles and his acts, which he did in the midst of Egypt, unto Pharaoh the king of Egypt, and unto all of his land. That is how it's spoken in there. 10 plagues, water turned to blood, frogs, gnats or lice, flies, livestock, disease, boils, hail and fire, locusts, darkness, death of the firstborn. You would think at some point through all of this, someone would have said, hey, you know what? We better stop. We're just going to go ahead and let you have your little 3-day journey. Go ahead and go out there and serve. We've had enough. But no, it took, God's heart was hardened the entire time. Verse 14, I wanted to bring this part. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go. I thought about it this morning, and it hit me this morning. Pharaoh thought he was talking, thought there was just 2 men standing in front of him. He had Moses and Aaron. The magicians were there. The sorcerers were there. Maybe Pharaoh's army was part of his army was there. They didn't realize there was another man in the room. They didn't know that there was one other person sitting in that room or talking in that room, and that one was the Lord. Because he says in the verse 14, he says, and the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. Moses was standing there in the presence of God. Pharaoh was in the presence of God, and he knew it not. He had no idea that he was there. In Matthew chapter 18, verse 20, it says, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. There am I in the midst of them. Guess where you're sitting here this morning? Are we gathered together into one place with His name? Gathered together in His name? Do you still believe the Bible? If that is to be true, then He's in the midst of here this morning. That means here am I, I'm here also. And he was able to see the hearts that was inside of Pharaoh up on that throne. He was able to read what was actually going on in his thoughts and his minds. He knew exactly what was being said in Pharaoh's head. His heart is hardened. God knew it. He told Moses, his heart is hardened. He won't hearken to you. There was another one there. How many people need a miracle this morning? Who's in the midst of us this morning? Here am I. How many are willing to pray unto Him? How many are willing to see? We may not be able to see him. I may not be able to talk to him physically. I may not be able to reach out and touch him physically, but he's in here. Here am I. How many people needed that miracle again? I thought about a song this morning. Sister Katie, she sings it. I think it goes something along the lines of, you ought to have been there when the Lord saved me. How many people remember that song? You sing that song, right? You ought to have been there when the Lord saved me. You ought to have been there when he gave me the victory. He put a joy down in my soul. He put my feet out, or put my name in the heavenly roll. You ought to have been there when the Lord saved me. I thought about that song this morning, and a question came to mind. I couldn't help it. It brought me to tears this morning. And I'm not just saying that. It actually did. What if God being in here this morning would walk up to each and every one of you and ask the question, and maybe we was to change that song just a little bit. Do you still remember when I saved you? Do you remember when I gave you the victory? I put a joy down in your soul. I put your name on the heavenly roll. Do you remember when the Lord saved you? How many people can actually remember back? Do you remember? If the Lord was standing here and he walked up to you, Brother Clarence, and he says, do you remember? Do you still remember when the Lord saved you? I wonder this morning, it hit me. Is God still wondering, asking the question this morning, saying, do you remember when I saved you? Do you remember the day that I gave you the victory? I put a joy down in your soul. Oh, it's a good song. We all clap our hands and we all sing and we praise and all that. But he's sitting there and he's, do you remember? How many people can honestly say, I still remember? I remember that day. I still rejoice. Sometimes we have to remind God and say, I still remember that day, Lord. I still remember when you saved me. I remember the joy that I felt down here when you put that joy down in my soul. I remember when the day you put my name in the heavenly roll. I remember. How many does God have to come to you, knock on your door, put a billboard out there? Do you remember? This morning I was sitting there in my office and dogs were sleeping and I'm sitting in my office thinking of this and tears are in my eyes. What if God was asking me, do you remember when I gave you the victory? When I put a joy down in your soul? Oh man, can you remember those days? I can't explain it, I can't change it, I can't even put it into words what it must have felt, what it felt that day. But do you still remember? How many people, if that song was changed, do you still remember when the Lord saved you? Do you still remember when he gave you the victory? When he put a joy down in your soul? Put your name on the heavenly roll? Do you remember? Boy, that takes on a whole new meaning now. When you start to sing that song and you start putting it to yourself, Lord, I remember. Sometimes God has to be told, Lord, I remember. Exodus chapter 14. Some of us had different backgrounds. Like I said, I always talked about how I went down to a UPC youth camp. I was, 10, 9, 10, 7, I don't know how old I was back then, down in Indianapolis. And I remember going down there and going down the altar, and I'm down there, and one of the ministers, I know his name still, but he came up to me, he says, John, I want you to repeat these words. And until this day, I couldn't tell you the words. Talk about it all the time. And I repeated the words, and he said, say them again. So I said them again. Say them again. So I said them again. Oh, thank the Lord, you got the Holy Ghost. Keep saying them. And I kept saying them. I went home thinking that I had received the Holy Ghost. I even called Mom and Dad and called them up that night and told them I got the Holy Ghost. All because of what was been said. I thank God that I went to a different youth camp years later, and no one had to tell me the words. There was no magic formula. There was no words that I had to say. But thank God there was words that I was saying that I had no idea what they were. I thank God that when He came down inside of me and spoke, I didn't have to have someone tell me. I didn't have to worry about what Mama and Daddy might have thought because they were able to see it on me. I didn't have to worry about what this one thought because there was something down inside of me. I still remember the night that the Lord saved me. So many people are worried about what this one thinks, what that one thinks. Trust me, there's something with God. You don't care what they think. Then when you get saved from God, you don't care. I'm going to get saved. I want God more than anything. Exodus chapter 14, verse 10, through the 16th verse. I'm going to jump through this entire chapter. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, children of Israel left out of the land of Egypt after all the plagues that came upon them. Pharaoh finally tells them, get out of here. So they leave. They get halfway out there. They're in the wilderness. Pharaoh finds out they're stuck in the wilderness. So he starts to chase them down. When you decide to make a move and leave Egypt, spiritually speaking, you leave the world and come to God and leave that old man behind, guess what's going to happen? That old man is going to come back after you. He still wants you. The drugger, he still wants you. The alcohol, it still wants you. Your old life still wants you. And it's going to pursue you until you get him to the waters. That old life is not going to let you go easy. That old man doesn't want to die. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. And they were so afraid, and the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. Sometimes you're going to have to cry out to the Lord. Sometimes you're going to have to find a place off in the middle if you're in your house by yourself or in your car, wherever it is. Sometimes you're going to have to just cry out to God. And sometimes it can be just a simple, Lord, have mercy on me. Lord, have mercy on me. Sometimes you're going to have to get a little loud. Sometimes you're going to say, Lord, have mercy on me. Verse 11, and they said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone? See how many people want to be just left alone in this world? I don't want to be religious. I don't want that rules. I don't want that dress style. I don't want to follow the scriptures. I want to live my life and just leave me alone. I want to remain. We talked about how many times people are in jails. They're in prison cells. The prison cells of the mind. Brother Randall, I think he talked about it last night or last Sunday, the battle of the mind. There are people in jail. They go to work every morning. They come home every day. By all outward appearance, they are sitting there as model citizens. But inside, they're in a jail, and they have a cruel master above them, jailer that's above them, keeping them in that prison. Every day, they wake up hoping for a better day, for a better hope, for a better life. They want freedom, and they don't even know it. They don't even realize. They think they're in freedom drinking the alcohol. They think they're in freedom having the drugs. They're trying to run away from their own life. But God's right there the whole time, sitting there saying, I've got a better way for you. And some people are saying, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt? Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians. For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see. And see. And see the salvation. You see, when their salvation comes upon a person, you can see it coming upon that person. There's a change in their face. I've prayed with many people that's out there, and when they start to get God, it's just something comes upon them, they start getting a glow about them. You can just see it, that God's working on them. Some people say, well, why do you start getting all excited? Because I see it. I get a little excited. When I was born, my dad always told me that our doctor, when I was born, he came out and he told my dad, he says, well, you got yourself a cheerleader. My dad thought I was a girl. Didn't realize. He goes, oh, I got a girl. He goes, no, you got a boy. Didn't know that years later, the cheerleader was right now. I'm the cheerleader, but I don't have any pom-poms, and I'm not going to tell you any cheers. But I can tell you this, I can root for you, and if you need prayer and you want to get saved, I'm here to help you. I'm willing to help you any way I can. I'll pray for you. I'll do what I can, however I can. But who am I? You and God can work it all out. You and Him can do it all yourselves. Lord, help me. Verse 13. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which He will show you, or to you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. They got a Red Sea in front of them, an army behind them, a wilderness all around them, but as Brother Randall always says, there's still a God above them. You might have enemies in front of you, you might have enemies on the side of you, there might be trouble everywhere you look. But there's still a God. Lord, have mercy on me. Lord, have mercy on me. Lord, I need a miracle right now. I'm in a bad way, an hour of desperation I'm in. Help me, Lord. Jonah was in a situation like that. He was down in the bottom of a fish, in the bottom of the ocean. And he started praying towards the wall, the ribs of that fish. Praying. And God, 3 days, I believe it was, came back, vomited him back out. You can sit there and say, well, God can't hear me. If He can hear Jonah in the bottom of the ocean, He can hear your prayer. If it's sincere, He can hear your cry. Are you willing to cry out to Him, is the question. And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thy hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. I kind of envision this like this. Raise your hand. Does that look familiar to you? Does that kind of look familiar to some? Do you know, I looked it up this morning, what's the universal sign of surrender? The international sign for surrender. If you look at it online, it says a white flag, which, yeah, it is. But when the police come in and they break in because a bank robber is stealing the place, they don't run in and say, show me your white flag, show me your white flag. No, they show me your hands. It doesn't matter what country you're in. You could be in Russia, China, South America, South Africa. It doesn't matter where you are. If you are being attacked, all you have to do is this. I surrender. Sometimes we need to start saying, I need to surrender. Lord, I surrender. I give up. I've been fighting this for way too long. I'm in need of a miracle, Lord. I need you to step in and take over. I surrender. You take the battle. As the one song put it, the battle's not mine, said little David. Lord, it's thine. I'm in thy favor. I give it all to you, for I know not what to do. Many of us are in the same boat. Lord, I don't know what to do. The battle is yours. You take it. And all he had was just a little sling and some smooth stones. And he went out to fight the giant. You come with me as staffs. You come to me with a spear and a sword, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord. When you know his name, but I thought his name don't mean anything. David knew his name. He recognized it. Pharaoh was going to know who the Lord was. He goes, I know not the Lord. I will not let his people go. He found out who he was. The wrong time. You don't want to find out that day. Find out the hard day, or hard way. So many people today that are searching for God in all the wrong places. And the Lord shall fight for you. And the Lord said unto him, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. But lift up thy rod, and stretch out thy hand over the sea, and divide it. And then the children of Israel shall go on dry ground in the midst of the sea. And behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will give me honor upon Pharaoh and upon all his host, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. Do you know right now in the Red Sea, you can find the chariot wheels still there? You don't hear about it very much, do you? The corruption, the coral has gone around them in the Red Sea. Some say, well, it was the Sea of Reeds. Well, I have looked where these corals are at. It's not where the Sea of Reeds are at. The valley, I think it was Aqaba. I can't remember how to say it. But it's not there. It's not where the Sea of Reeds are. It was in the Dead Sea. Red Sea, I'm sorry. It's there. I remember that you could get online, you could search and find where the actual the crossing was. And many would say, well, it was just ankle-deep water. And I think of Bishop Rose all the time when he said it this way. Well, then God performed another miracle. What's that? Well, he destroyed all Pharaoh's army in ankle-deep water. He performed a miracle there too. Which one do you want? Well, he divided the water, but it was only ankle-deep. I could do that with a little blower. Maybe a leaf blower, I could do that. But God turned around. He wanted to believe that it was ankle-deep water. Fine. That God destroyed all Pharaoh's armor on the ankle-deep water. You can't have it either way. You can't have it both ways. It's a miracle either way. God, that's right. Verse 18, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh and upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud went before them, before their face, and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of the Israel, and it was a cloud of darkness to them, but it was given light by night to those, so that one came not near the other all the night. So while God has opened up and they're walking through, the enemy is confused. They can't see them. They don't know where they are. There's a cloud here. I can't get through it. God has a way of protecting his people. It was going to take a miracle, and God delivered that miracle. The best thing that Israel had for them was found in an 80-year-old man, Moses, coming through. I'm here to deliver you. I thought about how some people say, you know what? It still takes an 80-year-old man to still raise his hands and surrender. God still hears the cries of, oh, well, I'm too old. God won't hear me. No. He still uses people that are in their 80s and 90s and 100s, 200s, and 800s and 900s. But he still uses, well, I'm too old. God won't use me. Yeah, he will. He can still use you today. Verse 21, it says, and Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. Jump down to the 30th and 31st verse, and the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. Do you still believe God can work today? How many are in need of a miracle this morning? As we said before, where there's two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst. He's here to work, whether or not who's willing to cry out to him. I'm not asking you to do it for myself. It's for you. If you need something, God still answers prayers this morning. Jump over to Matthew chapter 15. Matthew chapter 15, verse 21. It says, then Jesus went thence and departed into the coasts of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, the woman of Canaan came out of the same coast, and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. And he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. And he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and worshipped, and saying, Lord, help me. Sometimes we just need, Lord, help me. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how we're getting through this. Lord, help me. Help me. Sometimes you just have to, all you can say is, help, help. But when God hears you, when you're crying unto Him, help me, Lord. It goes on and says, Then came and she and worshipped and saying, Lord, help me. And he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. And she said, Truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Even the dogs eat from the master's table the crumbs that fall off of it. She realized her place. And she's saying, Lord, help me. I know that I'm nothing. I know I don't deserve it. But my child, she needs a miracle. This woman, you'll do anything in the world to help your child when they're in need. I had a man one time tell me, he said to me, he goes, why would you want to give this and do all this for your family, this and this for your child? I said, well, if your child was sick, how much money would you give to the hospital or the doctor? How much would you not willing to spend? I said, if your daughter was in problem, she was in the hospital and she needed something, what would you do to get her the treatment that she needed? He said, anything. You do anything. And I said, why then you ask the questions? Why you ask me, why do you give this? Why do you give that? Well, I'm trying to look out for my family, trying to do what I can. However, so many people are caught up on numbers, they're caught up on this, caught up on that. You'll do anything you can. I thought about the man in Luke chapter 18, verse 13. I'm going to come back here. He talked about a publican. And it says, And the publican standing afar off would not stand or would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven. But he smote his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. Sometimes that is all you have to say to God. The world out there has track after track after track saying, here, just repeat this sinner's prayer and God will save you. Nowhere in here is the Bible. The apostles never taught it. The disciples never taught it. Jesus Christ never commanded it. Yet somewhere along the line, someone came up with the brilliant idea saying, just repeat this little prayer. It's not found in the Bible. Millions of people, every so often at work, the guy, I don't know who he is, I'm trying to figure out who he is, he'll put little tracks out on the engine, so I always take them out of circulation. So I always have them. I have them at house. I even taught a message one time out of it, read it right out of it, said, how many people know the scripture? It's not even found in the Bible. But it quoted a scripture, had nothing to do with it. The world is lying to the world. The preachers are preaching messages to just try to tickle people's ears. Repeat this little prayer. Say it really solemnly. Repeat this little prayer to me. If you said that prayer, please call us at 1-800 blah, 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 blah. We want to hear from you. I've almost wanted to do this one of these times. Wanted just to call them up and see what they have to say. Just to see what type of a response. I'm sure they probably got other people to do it. But that's why I started an argument for no reason. But you know what? So many people are truly believing this. Thousands. We had someone tell me one time years ago, why are you only preaching inside the four walls? Why are you not preaching like these worldly churches? They have these huge 500 or 5,000 and 6,000 people in these different tent revivals. But yet you're just having a little small congregation that you're preaching. Why don't you think you want to change what you're preaching? And I said, I could have those, but I'd have to preach a lie. I'd have to preach and tell the world a lie to be able to get those type of crowds. I'm not going to answer for that. I don't want to answer. I had a guy at work one time tell me, he told one of the guys, if he was any good of a preacher, he wouldn't be out here working. And the guy looked at him and says, you don't understand who John is. We've had conversation after conversation with him. You don't understand who he is and how he is, why he does what he does. Well, if he was any good, I grant you, I may not be the best. I grant you that one. But still, he would have a multitude of people. I'd much rather have a few than the multitude be preaching lies. Verse 28 back here. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. Because she came, because she needed a miracle in her life, she came and she cried unto God, she worshiped Him, and God answered her miracle, even though she didn't deserve it, even though she wasn't supposed to receive it, but she still got it. Because she had faith in God. Go on further here, and it says, verse 29, and Jesus departed from thence, and came nigh unto the Sea of Galilee, and went up into the mountain, and sat down there. And great multitudes came unto him, having with them those that were lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, and cast them down at Jesus' feet, and he healed them. Those people would have never drugged these people out to these different places out there in the middle, out there on the side of the hill or whatever they were at. They would have never taken them out there and laid them at his feet. They were in need of miracles. They needed something. They believed that he was the one that can do it. Sometimes doctors can't. They can only treat your symptoms. They can't heal you. God can heal you from your symptoms. Verse 31, insomuch that the multitude wondered when they saw the dumb to speak, and the maimed to be whole, and the lame to walk, and the blind to see, and they glorified the God of Israel. Some people, many ministers are doing things, they're praying for people. The guy, I think it was actually 2 weeks ago, he says, are you one of those preachers that spits on people? I go, what are you talking about, spitting on people? When you pray for someone, you spit on them and maybe knock them over? No. You don't have to spit on them. You don't have to blow on them. You don't have. God has the power. I don't have anything. I just follow the commandment. Pray for them. Call for the elders. Let them anoint them with oil, and the prayer of faith shall heal the sick. That's all I can do. I've got no magic wand up my sleeve here. But there's preachers out there, I healed 500,000 or whatever. I don't care how many you supposedly healed. I don't want, God's the one who gets the glory, not me. I don't keep track of that. That's right. John chapter 21, verse 25. Just one verse there. And there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written, every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. Amen. If someone wrote down every minute, every second that what Jesus Christ did for his 3.5 years that he preached on this world, if they wrote down everything he did for every second of the day, the world could not contain, according to John here, could not contain the books that would be written about him. We don't know it all, what God did during those times. We don't know what he did in those 3.5 years. All the things. We have 66 books here that tells us a lot. But many people don't believe this. How are they going to believe a world full? If I was to fill this entire church up with books, how could you be able to believe everything you read? I'm a terrible reader. You probably proved that today. But God will give you exactly what you need to be saved. Brother, you can get the children up. Might be a little short. In Mark chapter 4, another situation, they were in need of a miracle. Mark chapter 4, verse 35 through 41. And the same day, when even was come, he said unto them, let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? We're in the midst of the storm. You're back there sleeping. We're getting ready to sink. We're going to drown. Carest thou not that we perish? They're in need of a miracle. And he goes and says, verse 39, and he arose and he rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. How many people are in need of a great calm in their lives? There's been a storm a-raging. You're about ready to go under. You feel like there's no hope in sight. Carest thou not? Did you care for me, Lord? Carest thou not that we perish? Lord, help us. And he comes out and he rebukes the wind and he says, Peace, be still. And the waves instantly stopped. I always tell the story about Brother Tommy Stafford. I'll never forget the story. He talks about how the one time he was driving down the road and it was raining really heavy and his car started to slip out of control, and he put his hand on the front of the car and he says, in the name of Jesus Christ. The car stopped swerving out of control and went back under control. Sometimes, I remember going out fishing one time. I told Brother, it was little Randy I was fishing with one time. And we're out there, and he was asking me about faith. And there was a little pop-up cloud that was coming at us. It was raining. It was right where we were at on Lake Michigan. And I looked at him, I said, little Randy, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, if something doesn't happen, that rain's going to hit us, right? Do we agree with that? He goes, yes. I said, in about a couple minutes it's going to happen. I said, God can move that cloud. I said, we prayed. Sure enough, that cloud came to that break wall, and it went right along that break wall, right there. Now, why did God do that? It wasn't because I prayed. It was to try to increase his faith. To try to increase our faith, sometimes God will move mountains for us. Sister, I think many times, like Sister Betty back there, she can make it stop raining if you have to. We got an event going on Saturday. Don't worry, talk to Sister Betty. She'll make sure it doesn't rain. She's done it a few times, I know. Right? God did, but I know what you mean. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to call, Lord, I need help here. Carest thou not that we perish? How many of you still in the need of a miracle? We still have the miracle worker here this morning. All you got to do is cry out unto him.